Hey guys, welcome to my next video. This one is living on a boat. I'm still a little tired. My eyes are burning a little bit this morning. Partly allergies, partly I didn't sleep very well last night. Or I didn't sleep long enough, rather. Let me rephrase. I slept okay while I slept, but not long enough. Anyway, I got you propped up like this today because my hand's been going numb, really numb, and so I kind of need to, I was able to prop the phone up, which helps me. Anyway, my eyes are burning this morning, so my apologies. It's kind of hot. It was kind of cold last night, but kind of hot, kind of hot last night. I mean, cold last night. Probably in the mid-50s last night. Today's probably going to be mid-80s. So a little warm, Anyway, in this video, I want to talk about living on a boat. I've mentioned this before, and I haven't really went into any detail. So today, I decided I'm going to go into some more detail. One, I've been living on a boat for about 12 years now. I was introduced to boating by my former fiance, James, and he, he's the one that got me into it. And at the time, I was having some, some hard times with my ex-husband. And I've talked about him in the past where he goes on drunks and he becomes belligerent and, toxic. And I've talked about that. In fact, the area where I'm getting my physical therapy and going to the doctor and got business to take care of, I'm having to be there at the house of my ex-husband. It's our house. Or be in my car if I don't want to deal with his drunkenness and his toxic behavior. Anyway, so that's how I got introduced to boating. My former fiance offered me a place to live. He said, but it's on a boat. Anyway, so I've been doing that for about 12 years now. And overall, I enjoy it. At first, it was kind of difficult, just with the rocking on the water and whatnot. It takes, it's different, so it took a little bit of time to get used to, but I got used to it, and I've been doing it for a while. Anyway, I finally touched base with my landlord. I know I've talked about this in a couple of past videos as well. I've talked about he was getting some modifications and doing some stuff to the boat, and I didn't know what all he was doing. I knew he was having to do some repairs. It's a little bit, it's not a really, really old boat. It's like early 2000s, so it's not a really old boat. But if you measure it against a vehicle, then yeah, I guess you'd kind of say it is a little older. But anyway, he finally touched base with me and got to me, and I had asked, and we had talked out a few things, because we just renewed, because I pay him a monthly, rental fee, of course, for staying on the boat, and we have an agreement, as to such, how much I'm going to pay. I don't pay a lot, so anyway, I was paying about $400 a month. Now I'm going to be paying a little bit more, because not only am I going to have access to the boat, but I'm also going to have access to a studio shed that he's also put up, and it's been up for a while, but he's made some modifications to that as well. I'm going to talk about that a little more in a few minutes too. Anyway, the boat. I'm going to be probably paying about $500 a month now. Honestly, if I could get out from under that, I would. But obviously, I have to have a place to live, and a place to, call home base, if you will, someplace I return to periodically. And I'm there some of the time. I'm there a lot. I don't want to say a lot of the time. I'm there probably about 50% of the time, but about 50% of the time I'm not. I'm on the road with work, and because my job does keep me on the road a lot. In fact, sometimes it can keep me on the road up as much as anywhere from 50 to 90%. In 1 year. I'm just on the road a lot, and I'm not going to talk about my job just yet. I will talk about my job a little more later, but I will briefly say this. I work with my uncles and his business partners. They're real estate investors, and my job is property. My job is finding and locating the property, meeting with potential sellers. That essentially is my job. We do property investment all over the place. We primarily do it in North Carolina and South Carolina and Tennessee. He does a fair amount in Tennessee as well. But it's not that far. Anyway, again, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia are our primary investment spots. But he will do some investment in Florida, but not a lot. Not a lot. I'm not a big fan of Florida. I mean, I was born and raised in Florida, but I have really bad allergies, so Florida kind of is out as far as spending a lot of time there. I can't spend a lot of time there, so that prevents me from going. Now, I'm not the only one that works. Well, my uncle has business partners. There are a number of business partners. It's basically what you'd call an REIT, which is a real estate investment trust, or at least that's kind of what I see it as. That's kind of what he calls it, or what some of them call it. I'm not really that familiar with it, so I don't really know. But anyway, I'm one of the ones, and there's about two or three others at any given time that also do, meeting with sellers and finding and locating a property and etc. The other location is Michigan. He does do a fair amount in Michigan, but I don't do that territory much either. My territory is pretty much the South. However, I have went out and went further because he does do investment in Virginia and Kentucky. I absolutely thoroughly enjoy when I get to go to Kentucky and Virginia. I really like those places. West Virginia as well. He's also done some investment there as well, and even as far as Ohio. He doesn't do, I don't think, a lot of investment, at least that I'm aware of, out west. I mean, it's just too far. It's just because we're on the East Coast, it's really too far. So North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee really work well. And then, of course, branching out into as far as Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, and maybe into southern Ohio is really not a bad, that's pretty, not a great distance away. Depending on where we go in Tennessee, depending on where we have to go in Tennessee can be I don't want to say problematic, but a distance, because Memphis is a long way. It's about a 12-hour drive or 13-hour drive from where I'm at on the Outer Banks. From western North Carolina or upstate South Carolina, it's about a 10-hour drive. So it's a good little ways. But we don't do much as far as Memphis. I was as far as Dyer, Tennessee last year, looking at property for work and whatnot. Anyway, that said, I've talked about my work a little bit, and that's going to be it. That's about it. I will come back and talk about it a little more later in another video when maybe I can, right now I'm not working because of the accident, but hopefully later, I will come back a little bit later and talk a little bit more about the property and some of the houses, and maybe show you guys some pictures of some of the houses that we've invested in, or we're planning on investing in, or at the time I'm looking at the property, provided the homeowner isn't too iffy about it. Sometimes homeowners don't want their properties photographed. I do routinely take photographs and videos of the property. I'm not really good at it yet, but I do take pictures, and the pictures I'm much better at, but the video, I do take video of the property. But sometimes we have to ask for permission from the homeowner if they mind me using the pictures for my own use, and get them to sign. Usually my uncle and his business partners require that they sign some type of a waiver if we want to use the pictures. So a lot of homeowners won't do that, so I don't get the option of putting that out there. Now, sometimes I look at properties that have been shown to me by realtors, or I'm able to go to on my own, and when that happens, sometimes I do take the pictures. But usually we have to get some type of a, consent from the homeowner to actually use their property pictures and such. And a lot of homeowners, for whatever reason, they just say no. I don't know why. They say no. Even though they're selling the property, they say no. Anyway, so that said, most of my work is in the South, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, whatever. I just said that, and I tend to repeat myself, and I apologize. Anyway, onto the boat. I am, of course, on the road a lot with my work. Oh, and when I'm on the road with my work, I'm not in my own personal vehicle. I luckily get provided a vehicle, so usually I'm in. Not always. I wish my uncle could supply me with a van all the time, but that's usually not possible. One of the go-to vehicles that I've been in is a Honda Pilot, so I like the Pilot. Noisy out here. Anyway, I wish that I had a Honda Pilot all the time, but I don't always. Sometimes I get a Chevy Impala for work. Sometimes a Ford 500 as well. So a lot of times the Ford 500, and I also get a Chrysler, so like a little 200 for work as well. And it's kind of small. So, and he just picked up another one. I think a little Honda Fit, and I'm not really hip on having to drive that for work. A lot of times, even when I'm in the vehicle, I will, depending on what time I stop at night, I will, if it's certainly a bigger vehicle like the 500 or the Impala, I will just sleep in it, simply because I'm more comfortable that way, especially during these times of COVID. I feel more comfortable being in my vehicle. I don't have to go into the motel. I don't have to spray everything down, clean everything up, disinfect before I start. As a matter of fact, this last time I was in a motel, unfortunately, I didn't even think to, I was so discombobulated from the accident, I didn't even do that. But it's a wise idea to do it. I know there's another YouTuber, I've watched her, and she routinely, when she goes to a motel, disinfects, so I should probably be doing that, but a lot of times I don't. Pre-COVID, of course, I didn't know to do it. Probably should have. But I've only been in a motel maybe 2-3 times in the past year with work, and I'm not a big fan of it. I prefer to be in a vehicle. That's partly why I like the Honda Pilot, because you can actually, lay down some bedding, which I have, a pad and some bedding in the back of it, and it lays flat. It's comfortable. It's not a bad vehicle. It's actually a good vehicle. I wish I could afford one. I really like it. The GMC Acadia is another one that's a real good one. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on about work, because this video wasn't supposed to be about work. It's supposed to be about the boat. Anyway, as far as the boat, my landlord finally touched base with me, and he sent me some, I finally got a good peek, before I go back, because I am going to have to go back to my home, if you will, on the Outer Banks in the next, probably next month, maybe month and a half. I don't have a choice. It's time. I need to return. I've just got to work it around my doctor's appointments, physical therapy, the MRI, and some other business meetings. Oh, and I also, of course, I talked about this. I have a court date at the end of June for the accident, because the officer did cite me, even though it wasn't my fault. So I still have to go to court for that. I have another business meeting at the end of May. I've got my appointments. I've just got so much to try to work around to get back home. Anyway, the boat. My landlord finally we finally talked a little bit more at length, and I have got the final pictures and video of the boat. Now, I did talk to him about this, and he knows I'm doing videos for YouTube, and I had just touch base with him briefly. I didn't really want to, say, hey, I want to do this, but, I want to touch base with him and let him know, hey, and he knows I'm doing videos for YouTube. And he made it very clear, and I don't know why. I really, it's hot. It's kind of hot out here, but anyway. he made it very, very clear that he did not want me to do video inside the boat. He made that very clear. I honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why, but he made it very clear that that he didn't want me taking video inside the boat. Only if he was there, he was present, he would do it. And then he was kind of like, you know, with the houses, you know, he didn't give his consent. Anyway, I don't know why. I honestly don't. I don't know. Maybe there's some stuff in the boat. He, you know, maybe he thinks someone's going to find out where it is and, I don't know, take something, or, you know, or he's concerned about my safety as well. He did talk about that. He's concerned, you know, about me, you know, talking about where the boat's docked, and you know, he's afraid, you know, because it's kind of it's not really a desolate area, but there's not a lot of people there, and he's afraid that, you know, kind of afraid for my safety, you know, if people know exactly where the boat's docked and they, you know, find out where it is or see it, they might break in on me, or they might, you know, come there to do me harm. He's just concerned. Anyway, so that said, he won't let me do any actual interior video. He said unless he does it and gives consent. So, but he has sent along he did send me along some video that he did and pictures that he took, and I'm going to go over that. I will show you, toward the end of the video, I will show you the before pictures of the boat, how it looked, and believe me, it was a very stark, whitish, beige color, very stark, very plain, very platonic, just very plain, no nonsense, just your average boat. Anyway, just didn't stand out, just was really plain, like a plain Jane. Anyway, but in this first little video that I'm going to show you, or this first video slideshow that I'm going to show you, is the interior of the boat. Now, he did some repairs to the boat. I'm not sure what all he did on that. I believe he did replace the bilge pump, or one of them. I think he did that. It was, I think he maybe thought it was starting to fail or was going to fail. I'm not sure. Maybe the marine techs recommended it. I think that was it. I think the marine techs recommended it. I'm not sure why, but anyway, because I don't know much about that. I know what's in my agreement, which is a lot of maintenance on the boat. And he's very good. My landlord is very, very, and former fiance as well. He's very, very good about doing the maintenance that on the boat. One of the reasons he, you know, he gave me the opportunity to move on to the boat. Part of the reason was to, you know, so that I had a place, you know, place to live, place to go, to get away from my ex-husband. And believe me, when he gets drunk, it's very difficult to deal with him. Anyway, the only reason that I am opting to stay in another area of North Carolina to get my physical therapy and doctor's appointments is because from where I live on the Outer Banks, I'm 2 hours away from the nearest physical therapy and the doctor's appointments and the place to get the MRI. I'm just too far away. It's too far of a drive. My back is, you know, I'm having pain after the accident. I'm having numbness in my hands, my legs, my arms, and in fact today, that's why I've propped you guys up. I think maybe I already said that. I propped you up because my hands are getting too numb to hold the phone. I know I need to get myself a little stand or something to put the phone on. That would be helpful. I really do need to do that. I just haven't gotten around to it. I looked in Walmart, but I didn't see what I was looking for, so I haven't done that yet. Anyway, so that's one thing. It's just really hard. It would be really difficult for me to drive the 2 hours to get to the doctor's appointment and then turn around and drive the 2 hours back. That's just, you know, that's a little much. So that's why I'm opting to stay in this other area of North Carolina. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling about the boat, rambling about my health, and you know, overall I'm doing pretty good. I'm in pretty good health. But the tractor trailer accident did cause me pain. It has caused me to you know, it has caused some real bad numbness in my hands and arms, and even in my legs. It has, and that's a real issue. I know I need to see a chiropractor, or I probably should see a chiropractor, but I haven't had my MRI yet, and they haven't said but I don't know, you know, I'll have to wait till I go to physical therapy, which I have next week. Anyway, that starts next week. So, and I'm, like I said, I'm on the tail end of my trip. Anyway, I promise I'm going to quit rambling about everything else and get to the boat. Anyway, in this first video or slideshow or whatever that my landlord sent me, it is the boat. This is the finished product of the first video. Is like the finished product of the boat. It is in the water. It's already ready to go. It's not in the Outer Banks where we, you know, where I live. He had it out. He's already taken it out for its first, you know, test run. You know, he wants to make sure the bilge pump's working properly and everything's working properly. And he has many years of boating experience that I don't have. He grew up boating. His dad was a longtime boater. His grandfather was a longtime boater. His brother, I think, is into boating, but I know he comes from a family of boaters. So even my understanding, even his great grandfather was a boater. So I mean, it goes back generations as far as boating. So he's been boating since he was a kid. So he's got a lot of experience doing this, which I don't have, and I'm glad that he's opted to do this for me and take the boat out on the water. Of course, it's his boat. But I'm glad, you know, he's taking it out on the water, you know, give it a test run, make sure everything's working properly before he docks it. And when I'm there, sometimes he comes by and he'll, you know, take the boat out on the water. But where it's docked, it's very, the water's very shallow. The bay is very shallow. It's only like 2 feet. It's like 2 feet at low tide and 4 feet at high tide, roughly. The straits are also very narrow, very hard to navigate. I could never ever navigate it. In fact, our agreement states that it's to stay docked unless he takes it out or someone in his family comes, but it's mostly him. But anyway, once you get out of the straits and into the North River, it is not bad. The water deepens and it's a lot better, but it's difficult, and it does have a small draft as well, so that helps. Anyway, the first video is the finished product of the boat. Like I said, it's out on the water, and he took it out on a test run to test it, make sure everything worked okay. And like I said, he gave me the option of living there 12 years ago. As you know, when I was having issues with my ex-husband. Of course, at that time I didn't live there. Well, I did live there pretty much most of the time, but I still returned. I still had to return to the other area of North Carolina just because, you know, my ex-husband and I had a house. We had a couple houses together, and one of them we've sold. Anyway, but we still got the other one, and I've talked about this. This house needs a lot of work, a lot of stuff. We rebuilt it once. Now it's in need of more repairs. It's just never ending. It needs probably about $15,000 worth of repairs, which currently I don't have. But anyway, my landlord gave me the option of getting away from it, and he gave me a place to live, and for that I'm grateful for. I'm very grateful for. It doesn't stop me having to deal with my ex-husband, because I do still have to deal with my ex-husband on a periodic basis when I come into the area. And I want to stay at the house, which is our house. I still have to deal with him, and that's still a problem. He calls me, I have to deal, you know, it's pretty much, my ex-boyfriend thinks that he's way too dependent on me, and he's right. He really is. You know, and that was an issue. I felt like I was his mother more than his girlfriend or his wife. So, anyway. And of course, the other reason, I'm almost forgetting what I wanted to say, rambling on too much, I guess. My landlord also gave me the option of living on the boat, because he really wanted someone to be on the boat, but not just sitting there falling into disrepair. And the work and stuff he did to the boat, it wasn't because it had fallen into disrepair. He is very good about the maintenance. He's great about doing maintenance and keeping the boat up. So this wasn't about it that but it does need its routine maintenance, just like a vehicle does, and he does that about yearly or every 6 months. He'll go give it a look over and take it to the marine, the marine techs probably about once a year. Anyway, but he wanted to do some modifications to it. He wanted to make it look better. He wanted to make it prettier and more homey, and it's going to be way better. I can already tell just from what he's told me and the pictures that this is going to be so much better. I'm going to enjoy living there so much more. And I never thought I'd like living on a boat, but it's a houseboat, but it doesn't really look like a houseboat, but it is. Anyway, the first video is, and I'm rambling on way too long. The first video is of the boat, and it's in its finished state. It's in the water. It's docked. Part of it is docked, and then the interior of it. There's a ton of interior pictures. He's updated everything to turquoise, like turquoise and orange. I love the turquoise. That turquoise looks kind of vintage. I have a friend, she moved into a mobile home and she returned it to like a turquoise color of kind of like some of the vintage mobile homes. But anyway, it looks vintage. Kind of. It's not, but it looks kind of that way. He's done a lot of really nice upgrades and a lot of nice little whatever, just a lot of nice little things. Nice little additions. And again, it's turquoise. It's not that stark white or beige color anymore. So that and it just looks really good. The people, whoever he hired to do the work, they done a phenomenal job. Just a phenomenal job on the interior of the boat. It looks great. They also did the exterior of the boat. Painted it. It looks, repainted. It just looks great. I'm gonna so like living there, and it's not a big space. So and actually, from the pictures, it looks like a bigger space now than the stuff that he did. Makes it look larger, makes it look bigger. So I'm gonna really enjoy that. And I know I've talked about this. I don't even keep a lot of my like my stuff, my clothes. I keep a little bit on the boat, but I don't really keep. This last time I didn't keep anything on the boat. I took everything off. I had to, because he was taking it in to be serviced and worked on and get all the modifications done. He told me to remove everything because he didn't want to get any of my clothing or any of my items damaged. So I had to literally take everything out of the boat, and that's over at mine and my ex-husband's house. And the big messes with everything in bags and the floor, because I don't have any drawers. I don't have anything to store my stuff in, which I talked about, and I've shown you guys in other videos. Anyway, not really important to this video, but anyway, so all my stuff's out, and I don't keep a lot on the boat anyway. I take a lot of my stuff with me, because when I'm on the road, I have to. I mean, I hate to get out on the road and then not have all my stuff, not have all my clothing. That is such a pain in the pain in the butt, really, because then I end up at Walmart buying more stuff, and I really don't like to do that. So anyway, that if you're going to be out on the road, whatever, if you're on your boat or in your van or whatever, your car, whatever, you're just traveling, if you're on an extended trip, make sure you got enough stuff. Anyway, the first video is the exterior and interior of the boat. And I will be back with you guys. Hi guys, I'm back. That video turned out to be such a long one. It turned out to be 28 minutes. So I've decided that I'm just going to show you everything. It's going to be like one big video, just everything. I'm going to show you the interior of the boat. You'll be able to see the boat, the exterior of the boat, all the work he did to the boat, the prepping of the boat. I'll also show you the studio shed, and I'll be back and I'll talk about that a little bit more. He recently did some stuff on the studio shed's been on the property for a while, for a few years now, but it was just the studio shed. It didn't have the plumbing and a bathroom and all that. while he was getting the modifications done to the boat, he added a bathroom, plumbing, and made some modifications to the shed, so that not only will I have the boat, but I will have the shed as well. I prefer the boat, but anyway, I will also, during inclement weather or bad weather, because during inclement weather he takes the boat out and he dry docks it, so I'll still have access to the studio shed, unless of course a hurricane comes through and then we have to completely evacuate completely evacuate the area, so that won't do me much good. But when heavy rains come, instead of staying on the boat, or if there's high winds, I won't have to stay on the boat, I can stay in the studio shed. So I'm really liking that. I know when he comes to I know, he's also made it kind of as a little second, because he built a little den. Sorry, I'm shaking the phone. He also, I think, added on a little small office or den to the studio shed as well, so that he can, have a little office, because he lives in the house, or rather, there's like a basement apartment to the house. He lives in that, and he has a couple of roommates, so he wanted a little space for himself, and that's part of the reason he did the studio shed. He wanted to have a little space for himself, so to work. So it's got a little den, but I'm on the boat most of the time, so it won't interfere. And if it's raining or it's windy and I'm there, the den is separate from and of course it's a studio shed, so it's very, very small. It's just a tiny little living area, tiny little area with a bed, and I'm not going to show you any of that, but it's just got a tiny little area for the bed, and a small little tiny kitchen, a tiny little bathroom, and a couple chairs and a table. It's very small, but it's it's cozy, it's nice for me. I mean, I'm on the road all the time, so I'm in a small space all the time. And of course the boat's not a very big space. Anyway, I decided I'll come back in a little bit in part 2 and talk a little bit more about each step of the boat, and not talk about living on the boat, because in this last video, which turned out to be 28 minutes, which is too long. It's too long to do an introduction to the boat living and all that. That's just too long. So at the end of this little video, they'll all be together. All the videos will be together. The interior of the boat, the exterior of the boat, the prep, the studio shed, the exterior of that. There's I think a couple pictures of the den, and that's about it. I didn't do, rather he didn't send me the interior of the bed. He's got that up, but not completely finished. Anyways, because he's still doing a little bit of work on the shed, so it's not totally done yet. But I decided to do this because just put it all together, and I'll come back in a second video and talk a little bit more about each step, because it ended up being too long. So anyway, I hope everyone has a good day. Thanks for watching, and God bless and peace. Anyway, like I said, I'll be back in part 2 to go over each and every step. Anyway, have a good day. God bless. Peace.
Un, dos y un, dos, tres.